Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Morning Markets with the team at True Potential. Today, we're going to focus in on a couple of announcements from the US overnight that I think are important to the direction of travel that we are going to see over the coming months. Firstly, just looking at how equity markets performed yesterday, we had the news of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine and the success that was showing in relation to COVID-19. But it was worth noting that equity markets, particularly in Europe, didn't sort of take it too positively. We didn't have the strong reaction that we've seen over the past number of weeks to news. And I suppose that's to be expected as we've moved further along in terms of thinking about how we get vaccinations out. We now have 3 vaccines that we know are very strong and successful in fighting COVID. But the other aspect yesterday in equity markets was just some of the economic data in Europe that we got, which really did highlight the challenges for the services sector at this point in time, and particularly the impact that the further restrictive measures that we've seen across Europe has really had on activity, with in the main across the Eurozone, Germany, France and the UK, the services component back and continuing to remain below 50. If we remember, in these types of indices, below 50 means a contraction in activity, and that is really there and clear for us all to see. What was, I think, more surprising and positively so was within the German and to an extent within the UK numbers, where we saw in the UK's case an expansion in manufacturing activity, so an improvement month on month relative to expectations. And also in Germany we saw very little decline in manufacturing sentiment. So those two readings are positive for current activity and give us a way to think about really this dichotomy that there is between the services and manufacturing side of the economy. Looking into the US, we saw that continued movement into the more economically sensitive areas of the equity market. So if we look at a sector performance yesterday, energy, industrials and financials, alongside small and mid-cap companies performing well. And that was, I suppose, at the expense of the technology sector. In the US, we also had PMI, Purchasing Managers Indices data. And the key point to take there is that we saw manufacturing continue to improve from 56.7 from 53.4. And also, and I think this is a surprise from my perspective really, that in contrast to what we're seeing in Europe with the contraction in services, we saw expansion in the US, so an improvement from 56.9 to 57.7. So just indicating the impact that the different approaches to COVID-19 are having on activity and forward-looking activity levels. Turning then to some of the 2 things that I wanted to touch on the US and the developments overnight. The first of which is what appears to be an acknowledgement from President Trump tacitly that the election is lost. So he's instructed his administration to start to work with the incoming transition team of President-elect Biden. So I think that is a positive, because it does start to take away that uncertainty about a potential messy transition. Now, that's not to say that can't reassert itself, but the fact that there is now this working together on the transition arrangements is a real clear positive and removes a bit of ambiguity or uncertainty from markets. The other news item that was coming out overnight related to how President Biden, or President-elect Biden I should say, is thinking about some of his cabinet posts. And within that, the Treasury appointment, it does appear that Janet Yellen, a former Fed chair, is being considered for that role. And I think that is important because, one, it will potentially pave the way for further fiscal support for employment in particular. She is a Labour economist, and I think we'll focus in on that area. So that fiscal support coming through there would be advantageous, given, as we discussed yesterday, we do have a number of programmes rolling off at the end of December. And I think secondly, it probably means for a better working relationship between the Treasury and the Federal Reserve Board, given that she has been a previous chair of the Fed Board of Governors. So that, those are two positive things, and they have fed into equity markets in Asia, where we saw a good performance from the major markets in Asia, in particular Japan, which was up about 2.5% when I looked earlier. So that has fed into futures markets both for Europe and the US at the moment, so pointing to a positive open for equity markets this morning. I'll leave it there for today, but please do subscribe on the YouTube channel and join us again tomorrow. Many thanks.
Subscribing to True Potential YouTube channel is quick and easy. Simply go to your YouTube app on your phone, type in True Potential and press the red subscribe option. You'll then be notified as and when new videos are released.